Hi everyone and welcome. It's Melissa here and thanks so much for joining me today. For today's video is all about my kitchen. One of my most popular videos to date is how I added a French country look to my white kitchen. Now my white kitchen wasn't always that way. So let me take you through my kitchen makeover as well as show you some ways on how I improved the flow of my space. So let's check it out. When we first moved into this house, I knew from the get-go I wanted to make over my kitchen. I knew I wanted white. I wanted white, crisp, clean, and it was just a matter of time before we turned that dream into a reality. The process, well, if any of you have had renovations in your own home, you will know it's not ideal, but we made the best that we could with the situation, meaning we lived in our bedroom for weeks. Yay! So not only did I want to change the look of my kitchen, I also wanted to change the functionality and the flow. The first thing I did was really assess what I need in my kitchen, and that is a huge tip to follow. Look at what you need and how your individual needs are going to be addressed in your kitchen layout and in your kitchen design. And that's really going to help as a starting point. For me, it was an island. I like to have a large working space for food prep. I also like to have that middle ground gathering space that you may already know too well. Have you ever noticed anytime you have people over at the house, they always gravitate towards the kitchen and they stay there? That's where everyone gathers. So keeping that in mind, one thing I did with my kitchen before my huge transformation was I added a portable island. There's pros and cons to this. So pro, hey, I actually had a kitchen island and it did the trick. It even had a leaf that extended so that I could have my children or my family gather around and sit and have conversations with me. The con to adding my own island was I inadvertently broke the rule of the kitchen triangle. The kitchen triangle. There are many different words or phrases that are used to talk about the kitchen triangle, but I can see if I can break this down easily for you. When you're looking at your kitchen layout, you want to make sure functionality is key. And that is making sure you have easy access to your zones or your areas that you're most likely going to be using, needing easy access to. The three areas or the three zones that you're probably going to most likely utilize would be your sink, your fridge, and your oven. Those areas you need to have access to easily, and when something is impeding or breaking that triangle, you're going to see where there's some functionality problems. So in my case, my old kitchen was designed with a peninsula. The peninsula was there, and therefore the three areas, my three zones that made up my triangle, was not impeding or blocking anything. When I went and put this island, I now made for difficult times in my kitchen. Everyone is bumping into each other, getting frustrated, and having to dodge each other as they try to use the kitchen at the same time. It just wasn't working for my family. So I knew in my kitchen I wanted an island, and in order to do this, I needed to change the entire flow of my space. The main way to change the functionality of my kitchen was to intentionally add that island and now work around it. And when I did this, I had to change the triangle of my kitchen. You will see I had my fridge in one location, and because I added the island, I needed to change that zone so that I had an easier flow or easier access. We moved the fridge over to the middle, and by making sure that the island was moved over with enough space to walk by, I was able to recreate that triangle and that flow. And guess what? No more hitting each other, elbowing, no jabs, and that was a good thing. So the next piece that I really wanted to do to make sure that the flow of my kitchen was just that it actually flowed. I also looked at the aesthetic, and that is a really great area to help create a sense of balance, flow, and continuity between all of your rooms and spaces in your home. And there are a few ways that I achieved this. For starter, I needed to improve my window dressings and my window surroundings so that it also mimicked the white and bright. We had everything oak, and I really wanted to change that. I know a lot of people probably love oak. I really can't get on that bandwagon. Maybe one day, they always say the old comes back. So maybe one day I will be regretting my decision. But until then, I'm quite happy. So I even changed the fireplace because you can see the family room from my kitchen, and I really tried to keep that balance. And by keeping that fluidity and that light color scheme, I'm already keeping a flow between the rooms. So it looks like my family room is an extension of my kitchen. And speaking of color scheme, another way seems really simple, but it was keeping my wall color the same throughout the first level. You've probably heard that a lot before, but I did not follow that rule. I decided I wanted it different. I knew that my kitchen was at the back of my house where I have windows that the sun just does not go away. And I shouldn't say that like I'm complaining. I'm actually really happy that there's a lot of sunlight and natural light in the back of my house. So because of that, I thought going with a warm, beigey, biscotti color, that is the color I used. It was called biscotti. But that was the color that I chose to use on that part of the house because of my thought that it was a separate area and I could really change the feel of going into that room compared to my living room here, as well as my dining room just behind me. Keep more of those modern colors of gray. I am not kidding. I went right to the very end. They were brush in hand, rolling pin in hand, about to repaint the biscotti color on my walls when I asked them to stop. I was one of those clients where I was changing my mind as I was going. And hey, stick to your gut. You will not regret it in the end. And so when I made the decision to keep the same colors I had throughout the house, that paint color went on the wall, I knew I made the right decision. Just that little step of painting my walls the same color throughout the first floor really helped with the flow. If you think the paint really did a trick, wait until you see the floors. Now that was something that I was competing with when I first moved into this home, is that there were different types of flooring. I love carpet. There's always a time and place for carpets, especially when you have little tiny children crawling around on the risk of constantly injuring themselves. A carpet can really come in handy to help soften those falls. But now that my children are older and walking on their own, I really wanted to make this space flow even further and have that look of continuity. The first thing I did was really look at a type of flooring that I would want throughout my entire first floor that's going to be durable and appropriate for any location. And for me, I chose the luxury vinyl. I really love the look of hardwood floors, but I'm actually not a fan of the upkeep. Ooh, I don't know if anyone likes that I said that, but wooden floors probably wouldn't be my first pick. Now, just like carpet, there's always a place and time for hardwood floors. But for me, really, I was looking at what do I need for my kitchen, as well as will this work in other areas? And so for me, I picked something that was more in the gray tones, wasn't too dark, that it wouldn't pick up, the inevitable dirt that is bound to continuously happen in my kitchen area. But I also didn't want it too light. So it was really, for me, for my preference, was looking at that happy medium that has that durability, that looks like wood, but is going to hold up for many years. And for me, that was the icing on the cake. Cake. And when the floors were put in, I could really visualize how it was going to look and how the functionality of my kitchen was going to be so improved for myself and my family. So really, by addressing my individual needs and what I wanted for my kitchen, like an island, making sure I am keeping with the functionality of the zones and easy access. So creating that kitchen triangle, then by creating that visual balance in terms of using a consistent paint color on my wall throughout my first floor, as well as a consistent flooring throughout my first floor, it has really helped to achieve my dream kitchen. So what did you think of this transformation? Do you have any other ideas of how to improve the flow of your home? If so, please share in the comments. I would love to hear it. If you'd like to see other videos like this, please consider liking and subscribing. It always helps to grow my channel. Until next time, I hope this has helped you to stay inspired.